Aloha, everyone. Welcome back to the negotiation table. My name is Wincy Hong, your host and communication specialist here at HGEA. And with us today, we have U.S. Representative Jill Takuda of Hawaii's 2nd Congressional District. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for making time for us. Before we dive into this month's conversation, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Okay, so let's dive in. It's been 22 years since the passing of U.S. Representative Patsy Mink, a pioneer for women in politics. Mink served in the U.S. House of Representatives for 24 years and was the first Asian American woman elected to Congress. As a champion for the federal Title IX law that leveled the playing field for women, Mink's career was an inspiration for so many Hawaii women. With the potential of the nation electing its first woman president in Vice President Kamala Harris, we wanted to sit down with Representative Takuda to get her thoughts. You are in the seat that was once occupied by Representative Mink. I'm really curious to know how much her career influenced your own path in politics. And do you think Representative Mink's career opened doors for you as well as other women?
Well, first of all, she's literally looking over your shoulder right here in the picture that you have behind you for those that can't see. And I will tell you, she absolutely continues to be an inspiration. The bar was set so high with Patsy in terms of her advocacy for Hawaii, making sure that our small but mighty delegation definitely left its mark, translated its values to the continent and the entire country, as well Title IX just being one of many things that she fought for and championed. And she's still literally very much a household names amongst those that I talk to who talk about just the need for us to make sure that equality, justice, the basic human rights for women, for communities of color are maintained. Patsy is still that champion that people look towards. And so I can assure you it is some very extremely large shoes to fill in Congress. But oftentimes in the past 2 years, as we faced some very, very difficult moments in Congress, I've often stopped myself and asked, what would Patsy do? She's literally sitting there in the halls of Congress, her photo beautiful right there across from Shirley Chisholm. And again, a reminder to us that while difficult, it's about doing the right thing, not just for ourselves and our people today, but generations that will come tomorrow. And for myself as well, I remember as a high school student catching the bus over the mountain for Kaneohe to Kapiolani Park and listening to her speak at rallies. And while short in stature, as you know, she just literally filled the room or any place that she was. She made you feel like you wanted to be a part of something so much bigger than yourself. And so an inspiration to myself and so many others to remember that public serving is truly a calling. It is a passion, and really it's about opening doors for others so that they too can serve and give back to their communities. And so very much feel the responsibility and the humility of sitting in Patsy's seat and understand that means we've got to do everything we can to fight for social justice at the national level.
Definitely. And Representative Mink was one of the authors of Title IX, or the Patsy Mink Equal Opportunity in Education Act, which is a landmark civil rights law that prohibits sex-based discriminations in schools and universities. So how has Title IX helped to cement Representative Mink's legacy as a history-making leader?
First of all, when we take a look at our country's history, especially when you look at it from the lens of Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islanders, I'm very proud that Hawaii has definitely put forth some of the most impactful leaders that we have seen in our country's history that have really put forward educational efforts, supported veterans, supported communities across the country, built global connections. And when you really think about, who was really at the table, Patsy was there, fighting that, on the basis of sex, that no one should be discriminated against. And even today in Congress, we have seen the Republicans trying to use her very words, the very thing she fought for against equality for all people, trying to live their true, authentic lives. And it really is disheartening. But what has been inspiring for me is the fact that as I've stood there to fight against these threats to that equality that she fought for, you see so many other women from across the country, from all walks of life, stepping up and invoking Patsy's name and her memory and her fight and her legacy. To me, that is a testament to the fact that while we love her here in Hawaii, and she was our own, she was everyone's champion. She was everyone's hero. And that is something that not many can really, attain that mark. And yet, till this day, so long after her passing, literally decades after her passing, she still remains that champion for everyone, for all. And I think that truly has cemented her place in history as being that champion for people.
Let's talk about the work you are doing for Hawaii in Congress now. So recently you helped to beat back attempts by a Republican House to privatize civil servants to administer the SNAP program. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about that provision of the proposed farm bill that you opposed and how it would have impacted government workers?
Unfortunately, I wish I could say that was the one and only time that we fought hard against Republican extremist attempts to really, sadly, beat down on our federal civil service workforce that does so much every day for our people. I often talk to my constituents and tell them, you call our office, potentially dozens, if not hundreds that we get every single week, every month, asking for help with various things, whether it be their taxes, whether it be their SNAP benefits, their veterans benefits, so many different things. The list goes on and on. At the end of the day, who helps us get relief for our community and our constituents? It's those civil service workers. It's our federal workforce. Those are the champions on the front lines, making a difference for everyday people, making sure your tax dollars goes to support you. And when you see these repeated attempts to put in political cronies, essentially getting out a workforce so committed to the public mission, it is very, very disheartening. And we saw that with the SNAP program. Not only that, you saw attempts to literally take out billions of dollars in food money, taking literally the food out of the mouths of Keiki Te Kapuna that were part of this extremist agenda. So many cuts to conservation programs that are going to make sure that we can both feed our people, but really support our natural resources and our ecosystem and environment. This was all part of a collective attempt on the Farm Bill. But sadly, as we know, even if you look to Project 2025 and how they literally want to get rid of the civil service system and replace it with political appointees, that their only agenda truly is to put forward whatever Trump and Project 2025 would like to have on the table, not the public good, not the public mission. Again, these are cuts and cuts and cuts against the American people that really, to me, sadly, hurt not just the people, but our skilled workforce, our dedicated workforce, our federal employees that have been doing so much to support the people of this country.
Is there anything you are currently working on in Congress that you'd want HCA members to know about?
Well, that's a long list. That really is. But, I will tell you right now, and I'm not sure when people will be tuning in and listening to this, but we literally just prevented the government shutdown a few days ago, which was critical, and we've just kicked the can down the road to December 20th. But what I will tell you really disappoints me the most is the fact that we were not able to pass disaster relief funding. And literally, in the last few days, we have watched, whether it's Georgia, North Carolina, Florida, these southern states get hit by Hurricane Helene and the disaster and destruction in its wake. And again, we failed before we left Congress, before that hurricane even hit. We failed to pass disaster relief as part of that package. I sent a bipartisan letter, I co-led a bipartisan letter to our leadership saying, we must do this. It is not enough to just keep the lights on of government, keep the wheels turning. It's about giving hope to people in disaster-stricken communities. And it doesn't matter if you're in a red state or a blue state or a purple state. At the end of the day, disaster relief and giving people hope for recovery, that's a people issue. That really is about supporting our people and putting people over politics. And so really, for me, that has been a big push that I've been doing, as well as the Disaster Tax Relief Act that we passed multiple times over from the House to the Senate. We need them to act on that so that we can make sure the most of the money people get for the settlement for the fires in Maui, for example, actually are able to stay with them and help them to recover And that's the housing, yes, but it's emotional healing. It's so much rebuilding and healing and recovery that we're looking at. But we want to make sure that people get the support and the help that they need. And so much of my efforts right now, in particular in this time and moment, is around disaster relief, because it's not actually just about Hawaii. It is about where suffering is taking place across the country, and we have not yet been able to deliver. And so I could bore you with tons of different bills we are working on, from agriculture to mental health support to rural health and communities and education and all these different things. But the bottom line is we need to make sure that when disaster strikes, your federal government will have the resources to be able to step in quickly and step in as long as needed to support you and your family.
Absolutely. It can happen anywhere
Sadly,
anyone.
We know best here in Hawaii. Disaster isn't on your timetable. It's on Mother Nature's.
So while we have you with us, we thought we could get also your thoughts on Vice President Kamala Harris's run for the White House. We talked about how Representative Mink opened doors for women in politics. So what's your thoughts on VP Harris's run for president?
Joy, hope, inspiration. There's so many thoughts that come to mind. I think Patsy would just be head over heels ecstatic in this moment. She would be pushing back and fighting back at every assault and attack that has been lobbed at Vice President Harris and Governor Tim Walz. She would be right there in the front lines. In many ways, Kamala Harris is in this moment because of Patsy Mink. I mean, if you think back to, I think probably way before you were born, Patsy ran for president. And as a woman of color, coming from a small state like Hawaii, that was a really big deal. That was a really big moment that perhaps might be overlooked by many when they look back in the course of history. But every time we chip away at that glass ceiling, every time we push that door a little bit harder, we create the opportunities for the next generation to step through that door, to break through that glass ceiling. And so in so many ways, I really truly believe Kamala Harris is in this moment because of trailblazers who were not afraid, who had courage and understood that they may not win, but they are setting the stage for someone else to win. Patsy is one of the reasons she is in this moment, and how she will really truly define it, overcome it, and quite frankly, open the door for generations of other women to step through it and to lead as well. And so this really is a Patsy Mink moment as much as it is a Kamala Harris moment in time.
Right. Democrats across the country have been sounding the alarm about Trump's Project 2025. For Labor, we're obviously very concerned about what the plan would do to unions as well as civil servants. How are you seeing VP Harris's chances for victory against former President Trump and his Project 2025 agenda?
I think we need to make it absolutely crystal clear to everyone in this country. Project 2025 is Trump's mandate against America. It is a manifesto against the American people. He might try to separate himself very slickly as he does, from Project 2025 and say, I've got Agenda 47. Look at who wrote it. Look at whose thumbprints are all over this 900 plus page document that literally for every single person in this country, and especially here in Hawaii, and especially members of our labor unions, this plan does not see you. It could care less about you. This would set us back, and we are not going back, as Kamala Harris has said, whether it is literally dismantling our civil service workforce, whether it's taking away health care from millions of Americans, in many cases the most vulnerable, our keiki, our kupuna, our working families that are struggling to make ends meet. This is going to be disastrous at every single level. And when we talk about immigration, I know sometimes, especially in Hawaii, we think that's someone else's problem. That's a border problem. That's a mainland problem. It is not. It will hit so many of our immigrant families right here in Hawaii, taking away the very ability for families to be able to come together to make a living. It would be disastrous, even to many of our industries that rely on a workforce that is not just immigrant, but just labor as well. And so when you take a look at what this 2025 potentially has, the chance of becoming, it is literally just catastrophic on all levels. And I would tell you, I just dropped my kids off a little while ago at school, public school, proud public school students at Castle High School, same school as their mom and dad, getting rid of the Department of Education, getting rid of Head Start, eliminating Title I funding. think about all of these resources. Think about the very opportunities that this administration, the Trump administration, and Project 2025, what it would do to everyday working families across this state and across this country. Every single part of it is a cut against you. And really, truly, if it is about hope, let's look to Kamala Harris and the plans she has put forward for everyday Americans, giving you a chance, giving us hope. And to me, I want to invest in hope. It's about feeding the right wolf. I always tell my children, I want to feed hope and possibility and opportunity and chance. And that's what Kamala Harris is presenting us with. And when you look at Trump's Project 2025, that is the wrong wolf. That is absolutely the wrong wolf. It's fear, it's hate, it's divisiveness. And it would do nothing for any American in this country, whether you consider yourself a Democrat or Republican. It is absolutely catastrophic to you and the ones that you love. And so our charge right now is to get out there and make sure every single voter, every person understands that Project 2025, Trump's agenda against America, that this is absolutely not something that you want to support. Invest in hope. Feed the right wolf. Vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz.
And obviously, if she wins, she needs a Democratic Congress. So what are the chances that Democrats retake the House and keep the Senate?
Oh, a trifecta would be wonderful. Can I just say, coming off the heels of a very chaos-driven Congress where we are in the slight minority. Literally, when you take a look at the last 2 years, everything that was good for America, preventing, a default on our debt, keeping the doors of government open, every single moment where Americans were relying on government to do the right thing, guess who this Republican majority had to turn to? They had to turn to Democrats. In fact, more Democrats than Republicans to actually do the right things. I say this because we need Kamala Harris in the presidency, and she needs a Congress that will have her back and will support her in doing the right things for our working families, for our communities, making sure they are cared for and they are really, truly seeing opportunities and an increase in their quality of life. And so I am hopeful. I will not take defeat as an answer on November 5th. While we will take the presidency, we must also flip the House so we can have a functioning, caring, value-based, I think of every good word that can come to your mind. That's what we need in Congress. Right now, we have the Chaos Caucus in control. We need to restore leadership in government and in Congress in particular, the House in particular, that truly is putting people over politics and making sure that every decision we do is for the benefit of our constituents, not a personality, pitch, not personal gain, not the chaos and dysfunction that you see right now with the Republicans in the majority.
Definitely. Before we close out, is there anything else you would like to share with HGA members today?
Just a big mahalo. Just a big thank you. As you know, HGA has always been very close to my heart. My mother was a member, before she passed away in EA, and so literally understanding what it's like to have to walk the picket line, to make sure that at this negotiating table, that our workers and their families and their loved ones get everything they possibly need to be able to continue to live here in Hawaii. HGA shares my passion that we have to stop the export of our kids and our families from this state. That means having a good wage. It means having housing people can afford, access to healthcare and mental health services that they need, everything that we want for our loved ones and families. You fight for that every single day at the negotiating table to make sure all of your members can be able to have that dream for themselves and their children. And for that, I'm just absolutely grateful. And just please know you have got a champion, an advocate and ally in me. But today, at this moment, just a huge mahalo as a beneficiary from multiple points of view for your advocacy and your friendship. So thank you. Thank you so much.
And thank you for making time to join us today. We know you have a very, very busy schedule, so we really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us about your work in Congress.
Thank you.
Yeah. And join us in the conversation, folks. In the comments, let us know if you have any memories about Representative Patsy Mink and what you think of her legacy. Are you appreciative of the work Representative Tokuda has been doing to defend the rights of civil servants servants in Congress. And for more content like this, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button so you never miss content like this. But for now, thank you, and we can't wait to see you back here next month at the negotiation table. Bye for now.